Hi, I'm Shannon Prukop.
I'm Rhonda Woolhouse.
I'm Lauren Flores.
And I'm Rebecca Lara.
And we're here to talk to you a little bit about Pop Madness, our upcoming event on February 27th and 28th. We're going to be all virtual this year. We're going to have all sorts of great guests and recorded content, and I really hope you join us. And just to help get you in the mood, we were going to show you a few of the items that we've found in the library that are pop culture related that we really love.
So a lot of things you can find in the library are books, but we also have DVDs and Blu-rays, and some of my favorite are the Doctor Who collection. I started watching New Who, not Old Who, because I'm not really into Old Who, but New Who about 4 years ago, and I actually own all the seasons, but there are various Doctor Who episodes and seasons here at the library. And there are also other supernatural kind of things, like this is Grimm, which is another series that I watch, and this is based on Grimm's fairy tales, and it's about a cop who goes and hunts creatures that nobody else can see, but who are active in the world.
All right, so the first book that I'd like to recommend is called The Parable of the Sower. It is actually a book that is in print, but they did do a beautiful graphic novel adaptation of it. It is really, really wonderful because it is set in 2024, which is 4 years from now, and it has a lot of really good, I would say, social and equality themes in it. Next, we have a graphic novel. This is a series called Monstrous. It's incredibly beautiful. It is, I would say, very sci-fi. It is influenced by, I would say, Art Deco and maybe Art Nouveau. So if you have a chance to look at it, it's incredibly gorgeous. It's also fantasy, and it is very much female character driven. This one is a little bit more serious. It's called The Club Dumas. It is written by Arturo Perez Reverte. This is in the English translation, but we do have the Spanish language version, so it was originally written in Spanish. This is also the novel that is the basis of the movie The Ninth Gate. It's pretty scary, but enjoyable, so if you have a chance, I would really recommend it. This is Blade of the Immortal. It is a graphic novel or manga series. It is historical, so it is set in about the 18th century. It is a bit, I would say, full of horror elements, so if gore bothers you, I would stay away from this book, but it does have some really interesting discussion. It basically revolves around a samurai, a ronin rather, and he is immortal, and it really bothers him. This is Snow Crash. This is I would say, a classic in sci-fi. It anticipated the internet. There is something in here called the metaverse, so if you've ever played a VR game or a game like Second Life, this is really Neil Stephenson foretelling and describing this about 20 or 30 years before it happened. And then my last one is by the cult filmmaker Alejandro Jodorowsky. If you've ever seen any of his movies like El Topo or The Holy Mountain, you'll get a sense for the type of writing that he does. It's very much surrealist, magical realism, and it is an autobiography.
This happens to be one of my favorite graphic novels. It's super perfect for middle grade to teen readers, and what I love about it is that it covers friendship in a way that you don't see very often, because we have friendship between a woman who's known as the town witch. She's unlikable, she's grumpy, she's creepy, and a teen. So there's this intergenerational friendship, and then it turns out that there's, connection between their families, and then we have a friend who comes out as trans throughout the story, and it's just kind of this ongoing thing. But also it's about magic, and that's just so good. However, if you want something a little bit heavier to read, Die is phenomenal. It is a series of friends a group of friends who've been playing games like D&D since they were teens. They kind of fell apart after a very strange thing happened, and now they're in their 40s and have been brought back together by difficult circumstances. And now they're in a fantasy world, facing all of their consequences. If you're looking for something that's more literal, like if you're fans of libraries and books and bookbinding, Magus of the Library is a really, really great comic, or manga. It's fantasy, but it does have actual, realistic discussion of how archival work goes and how bookbinding works. while also talking about magic and inherent racism in libraries and all kinds of crazy stuff, and not to mention that the art is just phenomenally detailed. The one I won't stop talking about, Witch Hat Atelier. Technically, the main characters are in their tweens. They're probably between 10 to 13 years old. But this is not childish. This story covers consequences in such an interesting way, and a very unusual magic system that involves, like, drawing. We see such a diverse cast, which you don't see very often in manga, and it's another one that the art, it looks like it's from, like woodcuts and fairy tale drawings had a beautiful child. Now, if we're gonna go for video choices, this is an older anime, but Mushishi is just delightful. If you like a very sad anime. So Mushishi follows a wandering kind of like spirit healer, medicine seller, as he goes to different villages and discovers problems with spirits and humans. On the complete opposite spectrum, Ms. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is the best slice of life anime. Slice of life anime, of course, follows just a group of friends, or people in their daily lives, except in this case, Ms. Kobayashi has a dragon maid who's a literal dragon. It's sweet, it's funny, it's just so easy to watch. There's only one season so far, but there's another season coming, so look forward to that.
This is the 4th year that we've had a Comic-Con at the library. This year it's Pop Madness, and some of our guests in the past year have been absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to show you some of the books of theirs that I really like. The first one is one called Above the Timberline. This is by Greg Manchis, and he is a wonderful artist. The whole book, it has these wonderful illustrations and artwork that are just amazing, and it's a story of an alternate future where it's been snowing for 1,500 years, and a young boy's trying to find his lost father. So that's a really good one to look at. And he's one of the artists that you'll be able to find on our virtual con floor on our website. Another guest that we had in the past was C. Robert Cargill. He's done a really great book called Sea of Rust. Very innovative, very exciting. And it's about a world where the androids have taken over and humans are sort of relegated. There's a new sequel out to it. He was also the writer for Doctor Strange, one of the co-writers, which is one of my favorite Marvel movies. There's a book called Radiance. This is by Grace Draven. She is a wonderful author. She's got quite a few series out if you like her books. This one in particular is about a couple that are each from a different race that are forced to marry for dynastic reasons, and of course end up falling in love, and the story of how they go from hating each other to loving each other in a very well-developed world. Lots of great characters. Another artist that we've had in the past that you can see on our virtual con floor is a gentleman called John Picasso. He's actually done the covers for these 2 books, which are written by another of our former guests, Michael Moorcock. Mike Moorcock is one of the classics of the sci-fi genre. He's written, his stories are about Elric, the albino emperor who has the sword Stormbringer, which it gets its power from taking the souls of other sentient creatures. And like I said, John actually did the covers for these. He's also currently re-illustrating the Lotteria, so he's done some beautiful artwork you can see there. Another fun book to read, many of you probably already know Charlaine Harris. She wrote the Sookie Stackhouse series that was turned into True Blood on HBO. The first book in the series is called Dead Until Dark, and it of course follows the adventures of a psychic waitress in Bontemps, Louisiana, where vampires and werewolves and everything are real, and her adventures with them. And probably my favorite series of anything is Supernatural. I'm a Supernatural fan, and we were lucky enough last year to have Sarah Gamble come and talk with us. She was a showrunner and a writer for the show, and we have the entire series, all 15 seasons of it that you can check out. Sarah Gamble also did The Magicians, which is another great TV show. She was the showrunner and a writer for that. And we even have, for other Supernatural fans out there, there's a lot of other stuff, obviously. That fandom's been around a long time, but Lynn Zabernis has done a couple of books, Family Don't End with Blood and There'll Be Peace When You Are Done. And these are really interesting because half the chapters are written by the cast of the show and half the chapters are written by fans of the show. And it talks about everything from mental health struggles to how the show has affected people, and it's just a really great look behind the scenes if you are a Supernatural fan. And one of our guests that's actually going to be joining us this year is Martha Wells, and she's going to come and do one of our panels. And her books are all, it's called the Murderbot Diaries. And again, it's an android who's become sentient and is sort of, nobody knows that he's really kind of free to do what he wants, but he's having adventures and trying to find out how he came to be who he is. And it's an excellent, excellent series, and she just won another Hugo for it. And I also recommend that you come and see her at her panel. Again, we're going to be doing Pop Madness on the 27th and 28th of February. You can go to our website, www.mysapl.org/popmadness. It has information on everything that's going to be happening. About 2 weeks before the event, we'll have our schedule up. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to call the 210-207-2500, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. Hopefully we'll see you online at Pop Madness.